SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated came out today, and I had the digital version of the game pre-ordered on my Switch, so the second the game became available to play, I did just that, and here's my early thoughts. I want to make it very clear before the video starts that this isn't a review or analysis of the game, it's just my first impressions of it. The thoughts expressed in this video may change by the time I get all the way through the game. That being said, I'm not going to make a huge in-depth video about the game. If you want to see my super in-depth look at the original Battle for Bikini Bottom, you can check it out here, but I only plan on making a shorter review of this game, which will come out whenever I finish it, and I'm in no hurry to do that. Anyways, for the sake of this video, I'll only be diving into the beginning of the game, everything up to the end of the Jellyfish Field stage, comparing the two versions of it and seeing where each one is better and worse. I'll mainly be considering two things, how the game looks and how the game plays. How the game looks seems like a dumb thing to compare, as the original's over 15 years old and the remake's in glorious HD, but I mean more in terms of art style and how much the game feels like SpongeBob, and I have to say, I'm not the biggest fan of the new art style. Don't get me wrong, the game looks as good as it could have using this engine. I think they did a great job, but the art style has bothered me since I first saw gameplay. To start, the characters look more like they're from later seasons of the show, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but the game was crafted around the golden age of SpongeBob, and throwing in newer looking characters doesn't feel right. In my opinion, Season 3 of SpongeBob is not only the best written season of SpongeBob, but also the best looking, which sounds crazy to say, but after that season the decline in writing began, and with that the flanderization became very apparent. For example, in later seasons, Patrick is just an idiot. His only character trait is the dumb one. In earlier seasons of the show, there was so much more to his character. Sure, he was dumb, but as time went on, everything else disappeared. And also, with improving technology came more expressive and cartoony characters, which doesn't seem like a bad thing, but for SpongeBob and the gang, it doesn't feel right, especially when the characters are dumbed down. We'll go back to Patrick. His quite literally dumbed down character is only made more apparent by the stupid expressions he makes in later seasons. It's really hyperbolized, which sure gets laughs out of kids, but just makes his flanderization even more apparent. But that's a bit off topic. Sorry, this isn't about the show. My point is, this look to the characters is heavily associated with the new and shallow SpongeBob when the writing of the game is pretty close to feeling just like an earlier episode of the show, and combining the two feels odd. Putting character designs aside, some of the worlds in this game are absolutely beautiful. The first level, Jellyfish Fields, looks spectacular, but it feels almost too detailed at times. Like, it's a cartoon location, but there's so much detail in, like, the ground. The grass looks so lively, it doesn't feel right for SpongeBob. Same thing with the lighting, it feels too good to be a SpongeBob game, which I know doesn't sound like it should be a problem, but it takes away from the overall SpongeBob feel. I also really don't like how borders are handled this time around. Like, sure, there's still a defined line where you shouldn't go, but it looks the same as the regular ground. It doesn't seem too absurd to try to walk on, but that's just a minor thing. However, I think the hub world looks really nice, exactly as it should. It's perfect. At this point, I'm sure you think my nostalgia goggles for the original are far too thick to be taken seriously. And sure, I have a lot of nostalgia for the game, and I'm sure that's part of why I prefer how it looks, but that look better suits the game in my opinion. Okay, enough with the art style and atmosphere. How faithful is the gameplay to the original? Well, looking at it before release, it seemed like it would feel quite a bit different, and I was absolutely right, but we're going to start with the positive changes first. SpongeBob's Bubble Bash can be used after jumping once, which allows you to get higher than ever, and Patrick can now use his Belly Slam in the air, which are both really nice additions, but unfortunately, that's it as far as pros. So, for starters, everybody feels a lot slower and heavier from what I can tell. They were never fast to begin with, but they feel really bogged down and a lot less floaty than last time, which isn't good in a game with levels designed around lighter characters. And to make platforming even more difficult, the shadows are really wonky at times. Those things alone, in my opinion, make the original play and feel a lot better, and though the visuals look nicer in a lot of cases, that doesn't make up for inferior gameplay. The new one's also got a lot of repeating lines, which was a problem in the first one, but I think they did a worse job spacing them out. In the tutorial, I heard the same line said 3 times within 30 seconds, which is crazy.
This is where I keep all my old comic books. This is where I keep all my old comic books. I love opening presents. This is where I keep all my old comic books.
Another thing that really bothered me was sliding. It definitely feels off compared to last time, and a main reason the slides are so epic is the music, and that same music is used, but this time it's really quiet. Like, quieter than the rest of the music, which really sucks. The only reason I see to play the remake over the original is the portability aspect. That makes it a lot more appealing, but unfortunately the Switch version of the game is the most lacking. I haven't played the other versions of the game, but from the footage I've seen, the Switch version suffers from the most things. The game suffers from horrible pop-in all over the place. So many things come in and out of existence all the time, and it's really strange and unpleasant. Not only that, the frame rate is all over the place, especially in handheld mode. It's never too slow, but you can definitely tell it's far from smooth. And the load times. Oh boy, the load times. They're horrible. Anytime you enter any area, any building, or even die, the game loads for an incredibly long time. This is ridiculous. The Switch version of the game is very tedious to try and play, but it's the only one I see as worth playing for that portability aspect. So right off the bat, I'm not the biggest fan of this remake, but I'm still gonna play it all the way through, as the original is one of my favorite games of all time, and having it available to play on the go is awesome. I know this video has been a bit negative toward the game, but I'm just trying to be critical because the game it's recreating is so important to me, and I want to make sure it's doing it justice. I'm really glad the game got a remake, as it was put back in the public's eye and allows modern gamers to experience it for the first time, and it gives me hope for more childhood games to be recreated. I'm looking at you, Hit and Run. But anyways, thanks so much for watching. If you liked the video, please leave a like, it helps a ton, and if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another video. Thanks for stopping by, I'll catch you in the next one.